Nice. I love it.
You look so pretty. And
Oh,
I
you're so
I know
sweet. Thank you.
yeah, I was just
I feel a
editing our
mess.
last. You don't. You look gorgeous, but you
Okay,
always do.
good. Well,
Um, I was just editing our last episode, and I was like, okay, we can't talk about hair again. We spent like 10 minutes talking about her last time, but it just, you look so cute. And when you wear your hair curly,
oh,
you
thank
look
you.
so much like Harrison. Like you always do, but it's just like,
But it
oh
you
my
can
God,
really it comes out more. Yeah,
it
I get
really
it.
does. You look so adorable.
Oh,
I
thanks.
I am first of all, I'm so excited for this episode. Like, yes, let's talk about this
Well,
movie.
it's interesting because I was like not texting you, you weren't texting me. And I was like, oh yeah, we're not supposed to talk to each other
I
about
know.
it. So it's gonna be
Normally, you would be the first. You, Kian, and me would be like texting, like, "We saw the movie. Let's talk about it." Kian, I'm like, "We
Mhm.
can't talk about it because then if we come on the podcast, it's gonna be like, we already talked about all this." And
Yeah, it
so
doesn't have that
this,
same intensity, excitement.
yeah, and this because I already know what you're gonna say about everything, and so then I'm like choosing my words carefully. Um, but this week has been hell. I've been like, oh my God, I want to talk to them about this so badly. It's not even funny. So I'm very excited about this
Well,
episode.
and for me, I watched it in isolation, so no one saw it with me. So I haven't talked to anybody about it.
Oh, that's even worse.
Hey, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm the one. I have so much to say.
I'm kind
I
of happy that
yeah,
no one had to watch it with me. Because
it's a little bit.
spoiler, should I give a spoiler? Thought it was kind of boring. Yeah.
You thought it was boring?
I thought it
Well,
was
that's not a
boring,
spoiler, Michelle. That's what we're here to
but
talk about.
I know, but I didn't know if I'm supposed to give my reaction. I know we'll get into the details of it, but just overall, I was like, I loved looking at it, but I
Hmm.
was pretty bored. And that
You
was
know what?
disappointing to me
That,
because
that is.
for other movies, I never felt bored, but I wasn't bored looking at the movie. I loved seeing what people were going to be dressed as, what the different locations and rooms and all of that. But yeah, I was kind of
I
all
mean, you're right.
right.
Aesthetically, it was absolutely gorgeous. Like
Yeah.
aesthetically, I was blown away. The only thing, and I watched it with Adam and Jafrida, and Jafrida kept on being like, "Oh my God, you have to watch her other movies. You have to watch her other movies." 'Cause I haven't seen any of her other movies. I remember when
They're
Saltburn,
good.
yeah, when Saltburn came out, my kids were like, "Don't watch it, Miss Aguilar. Don't watch it." And I was like, "Okay, why not?" And what was the other one that she did? Uh,
Promising Young Woman.
yeah, Promising Young Woman. I've seen a lot of reviews
Loved
of
that.
that. I need to watch these movies. This movie I thought was aesthetically beautiful. I actually liked it more than I thought I was gonna like it. I was ready to be like, and maybe that's why I liked it more, right? Because when you go in with very low expectations, it's very easy for a movie to
Hmm.
kind of supersede a very low expectation. Um, but I did like it more than I thought I would. But I can see your board critique. The aesthetics were beautiful, although sometimes I was like, it was very Gone with the Wind. And I was like, we'll get into this, but I was like, given the choices you made, the Gone with the Wind backdrop is a choice. It's a
Yeah. And
choice.
I don't know if campy is the correct word, but I do think there were
I think I
certain,
used that word.
would you? Okay. I think there were
I
certain
think I
setups.
actually used that word. I think I actually said this is a little camp and I wish she'd leaned into it. I wish that it hadn't just been campy in some parts and then overly dramatic in other, or not overly dramatic because that can be campy, just so serious in other parts. And I'm like, gosh, if you're gonna go into camp, go
Yeah.
all the way.
I think, okay, I'm glad you confirmed the word because I was struggling with it because some of the set pieces, I didn't even know what it was, but it was definitely a stage, right? It's not supposed to be realistic. And I loved that. I loved that, book wise or time period wise, we're in the late 1800s, right? And
Hmm.
then here it's
I mean,
Who
yeah.
knows? I
Well,
love
in the
like
book, we're
all like
actually in the late 1700s, early
late seventh.
1800s.
Thank you. I
Yeah.
was like, wait a second. I don't think I
Yeah, the
said that
Revolutionary
correctly.
War is happening at this time,
But it was
but
more
yes.
fun in the beginning, like the play between Heathcliff and Catherine, I thought was really fun in the beginning. And, kind of like life, sex spoils everything. Like after you have
Wait,
sex, and
what?
that
Oh,
doesn't,
right.
I don't mean that to sound, sex is great. But, all the anticipation and fun and playfulness and the energy between them, after that's like
Hmm.
consummated, it's just like, meh. Like
Well,
it
you're right.
doesn't go anywhere. I don't feel I just was like kind of got checked out of their relationship.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about. And I mean, part of what was so enticing in the book was the could have been, but never was and never could be. And like that,
Yeah.
the tension of just like, it reminds me when I was back, in my early days, college, my 20s, where you would see a kid from across the room and you're like, ooh, he's cute. Mine was this guy named Simon. Simon, what a name. Sorry, no,
Simon.
no offense, Simons.
Simon.
No offense, Simon. Oh my God, in Spanish, it's worse. I'm sorry. Simon is a lovely name. I don't know why I'm even ragging on it. It's just, it didn't fit him. And so, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, I remember we would like smile at each other across the classroom. And I remember like there were these moments that were like, I was like, ooh. And then,
Yes.
one day, and this was months, right? Like, cause I am so not, especially back then. Now I'm a little different, but back then I would have not gone up to a guy. I was so shy, so insecure. I was such a late bloomer as a kid. I mean, I didn't even have my first kiss till I was like 17. And
Oh,
I know I was such a late bloomer, and I
mine was
also
in
went to an all,
eighth grade.
oh my gosh, girl. I went, first of all, I was the ugliest duckling in eighth grade, the ugliest duckling. And then in high school, I went to an all girls school and I'm an
No.
introvert. So I never went out. And the only boy I had a crush on um, in high school was in my church youth group. And he was like,
As it happens, right?
I know. And he was like 22 and I was 15 and a late bloomer. It was never going to happen. But anyway, I digress like I usually do. So I'm in college and I'm not making the first move until I see him at one of our favorite bars. I don't remember. I think it was Jumping Jacks that we used to go to on Wednesdays because they have two for ones, whatever. College, miss those
Oh
days.
my God. You can never get a
I
2 for 1 anymore. I haven't even
oh
seen that. Or what about
no, they
ladies' night? That doesn't
oh
exist anymore either.
oh yeah, no, it
But
was
we
there were
digress like
dozen. I know. Anyway, we digress. The
totally
point is,
different topic.
I finally met him and we finally had a moment and he was the worst kisser in the world. I was just like, and then I found out my best friend at the time kissed him too. And I was like, okay. And like you were saying, poof, it was all over. Those little
Yeah, the
tingling moments of
illusion
seeing
falls, right?
it falls short. It falls short of whatever.
Yeah.
Sometimes when the illusion meets reality, that's like fireworks. But so
Yeah.
often it's like, ooh, and
And I think for the characters, it was, right? It was
yeah,
fireworks for them. But as an audience member, okay, I think this is going to go into a little bit of the characters. I was like, where is Catherine? Like, where is her
no,
feistiness? It just is gone. And I just felt like I didn't really, okay. I'm sorry, I keep going backtracking a little bit because it's, talking about so many different things. I just, I wasn't invested in any of these people.
yeah,
Actually
no,
was
I
invested in Isabella because I was like, this girl's
oh my God, me
interesting.
too.
I
I thought I was
loved
gonna hate
her.
Isabella. I thought I was gonna hate
I
her. I thought,
thought she
okay,
was cool.
all right, let's get into
And then
our
Nellie, I was
category.
like, yeah, Nellie,
I know.
you know, stir that pot, Nellie. Because I was like,
Yeah.
these people are boring. They're beautiful. The actors are so attractive. I loved them with each other. I just, I didn't have enough to care about them. Like I was just like,
Yeah.
okay, I actually fast forward through some things because I was like, all
Oh
right,
my God. Like
I
that.
know I'm bad. No, it was just long. It was like it didn't need to be that long. Like all
Yeah.
the like different areas where they were like having sex, I was like, okay, I got it. I
It
got
felt
it.
like Fennell was being a little phoning in. She was just all right. Let's get into our setup because I really want to talk about all of this, and we're gonna jump all over the place because
Yeah.
we're so good at doing that because we just love talking to each other. So let's get started. Welcome to another episode of Annotations After Dark. I'm Claudine Aguilar.
And I'm Michelle. And today we're doing something a little special, a little different. We are going to review a movie. And each time we finish a novel, Claudine and I are going to select a movie, whether it's an adaptation of that book or something that's closely related in themes or maybe just kind of embodies the spirit of the film. We're going to watch that movie and talk about it.
Yes, we are. And then we're going to have another special episode afterwards where we decide whether we think there's a better movie that captures the novel's essence, not necessarily an adaptation. And we will say why that might be a better movie than the adaptation that was made. So, you guys remember the Still a Better Love Story than Twilight. This is going to be a still a better adaptation than Wuthering Heights. So be prepared to watch that for the next episode. I already have my movie picked out for that one. Do you have yours?
I think so. I think
Okay.
I don't know.
You're
I'm
still
I'm
narrowing it
between
down.
two. I had one and then I started thinking
You're
about
narrowing.
something else. So I'll
Yeah,
surprise
but
you.
I can't wait. Oh my God. I don't always love surprises, but that's the kind of surprise I do like. Um, but in these movie reviews, we're going to do it a little different than some movie reviews. Our categories are going to be the good, the bad, the ugly. The Clint Eastwood movie, that might change as we think of better categories, but that's basically the structure. So the good. The good is going to be what we liked about the movie. You always need to find something positive. There isn't always something, but you can even just be like, I liked the closed captions that shows for the movie. So we'll have the good. And so we might say the good as in, aesthetic and stylistic choices, or even just I was entertained and I found that a lot of fun. And then we'll go into the bad. And what's the bad, Michelle? When we're going to go into the bad, what are we going to talk about?
Basically, things that didn't work for us. And it doesn't have to be completely related to the book as being an
Hmm.
authentic adaptation. As we all know, like novels and films are different mediums. So
Hmm.
you can't really have that expectation going in. But really the pitfalls of the movie itself, whether again, characters, the plot, the dialogue. So that could be some of the things we think are bad.
Exactly. The good is going to be, yeah, just what we like, what worked for us. Like if we'd never read the book and we just watched this as a movie, would we love it or not? And then the bad is going to be if we never read the book, what did we not like? So those two categories are independent of the novel because like Michelle said, sometimes you just have to enjoy a movie for a movie, right? One of my favorite or novel adaptations is Chocolat. I love that movie. Have you seen it, Michelle? With
Yes,
Johnny Depp.
yes,
I
seen it
love
many
that. And
times.
yeah, and so I read the book and it's so different. And I actually, maybe because I watched the movie first, ended up liking the movie more, but I can appreciate them both as independent things. Same thing with
Mhm.
Breakfast at Tiffany's. Breakfast at Tiffany's, love Capote, love the novel. It's so much darker than the Audrey Hepburn counterpart, but I probably watch Breakfast at Tiffany's once a year. It's like one of my favorite movies. So that's
Yeah.
what I mean by the good and the bad. And then we have a third category. It's either going to be the ugly or the lovely. If it's the ugly, it's going to be, this just didn't work as a book adaptation. Like, no offense, but and I'll use Breakfast at Tiffany's again. Breakfast at Tiffany's, I love the book. I love Capote's theme and message. I love how much darker it is, how you get into Holly Golightly's broken heart. And there is, spoiler alert, no happy ending there. It's kind of just a more realistic portrayal of her life, right? If I remember correctly, it's been over 20 years since I read the novella. So I would give that an ugly, even though I love Breakfast at Tiffany's as a movie because, it works independently, but as a book adaptation, I don't think it works as a book adaptation. They're lovely independently. Same with Chocolat. Lovely independently. But if we're looking at it just from the context as does it capture the spirit of the book? No, then it's an ugly. If it does a really good job of capturing the spirit of the book, it'll get a lovely. Think Pride and Prejudice. Pride and Prejudice, whether you're talking about the BBC version or the 2005 version, those movies, if I feel like I want to read Pride and Prejudice again, but I don't have the time to read Pride and Prejudice again, I go and I watch the BBC version of Pride and Prejudice and it scratches that itch. That's a lovely. If I don't have time to watch 4 hours of a movie, I watch the 2005 version because that is just as good. Some people might kill me for saying that. Colin Firth is still my Darcy, but regardless, I will watch the 2005 version because in 2 hours, I will get everything I wanted about the book. So we're all clear on the good, the bad, the ugly, or the lovely. And Michelle and I are really hoping to find some more theme appropriate for our podcast categorization, something clever. So sound off in the comments if you guys have some ideas because we would love to hear them. And
Yes.
then
So let's get
yes.
into it.
Oh, wait, one last thing. And
Oh,
then
my bad.
that's okay. At the very end, we will give it, out of 5, 4 out of 5 stars, 3 out of 5 stars, like an overall rating. Now, we are also, I think this time we're working on like 4 and 5 eggies or 4 out of 5 birdies or just something. We'll figure that out. But it's going to have a rating,
We'll
like an
let
overall,
you
this is what we
know.
give. We'll let you know. All right. So let's get into it. So let's get started with the good. Michelle, what did you like about Fennell's Wuthering Heights? And remember, we're going to stay positive even if it kills us.
Well, I think there's a lot to like about the movie. As I mentioned to you a little bit earlier, I really love the way it looks. I was enjoying every frame on the screen. I loved the costuming, the sets. I loved the music. I thought the score was fun and interesting. Charlie XCX, I thought, I was kind of like, how is this going to work? But it really worked for me. I liked the casting,
Oh, yeah.
which surprised me, actually. And I thought everyone looked really good in the movie. They were believable. I think my favorite person was Isabella. She is the most unique. I think she's the most fully drawn character, actually, for me,
I agree.
which surprised me.
Me too. I was already ready to be like, daggers out. What did you do to my favorite character in the book? Right?
To tell you, I like her more in the movie than in the book.
Oh,
Got a
interesting. Well,
very
you get
different
her more fleshed
picture.
out. Yeah.
I like that the turn is that she's like this, obviously like supremely wealthy, but like this nerd with these like obsessions. Because in the book, I just felt like, she was just this, oh, let me play with my dolls. This kind of whiny
Yeah.
little sister following you around. Well, we kind of got that, but this chick is cool. Like, I want her to be my friend. And then what she turns into, which we'll have to talk about, I was a little
Oh, we will.
confused.
No,
But yeah, there was a lot to like about the movie. What about you? What'd you like?
okay. So I'll pick up with Isabella because I was surprised to actually like Isabella. I was like, okay, here we see a different kind of strength. And I think that's what I liked about it. Whenever we paint a woman as strong, it feels like we have a very set trope of a strong woman, right? Like she's like Gina Davis
Doesn't
comes
need
to
any
mind.
man.
Yeah, Charlize Theron, Gina Davis, these women who are just like Angela Bassett, like throwing the
Angelina Jolie. Yes.
Yeah, Angela Bassett forever for me. That is my vision of a strong woman and waiting to exhale
when she puts her car on fire.
Yeah. Oh my God, it's my favorite scene and one of my favorite gifts. And her look of just like, I don't give up. Like,
and she's
it
like,
is. Yes. And she puts her husband in his place. And as much as I love it, right? As much as I love that, that is one kind of feminine strength. And even when you watch Fried Green Tomatoes and you see, what's that actress's name? I always forget her name and I love her to death. Um,
Oh, I don't know. When you said fried green
oh,
tomatoes, my brain went steel magnolias. So,
that makes sense. Do you know
another
what? My brain does that too.
two halves of the
Of
same
the same
coin,
coin.
right?
But, you know, yeah, but it's that strength, like when we see her becoming more and more strength when she's like to Wanda and she's like, you may be younger and more beautiful, but I have better insurance. And you're like, yeah. But again, it's that same strength. It's so good. I love that movie.
Yes.
It's that, and I love that strength. I mean,
Tell me
it's the
you're
kind of
middle
strength.
age without telling me you're middle age when you're like, I have better insurance.
Oh yeah. I thought you were talking about me and my taste in movies. I was like,
Oh,
oh, I
no,
know I
no.
am middle aged, but I am middle aged.
So
I
am
mean,
I, but here we are.
and you know what? Thank God for it because there's a lot of people who don't make it to this, and I'm very grateful. But that aside, we have that kind of strength, and I'm not poo pooing that strength at all. It is the kind of strength
No.
that I've always gravitated to. I've admired and wanted to be that kind of strength because it is an admirable strength. But there are different kinds of strengths, right, Michelle? Like there's that quiet
Yes.
strength and there's quiet strength. There's the Luna Lovegood quirky strength of just, I don't care. I'm going to be different and I'm going to operate through the world like I want. And that's the kind of strength but even then, that's like over exaggerated. I love Isabella's just like degaff strength of I'm going to play with my ribbons and I'm bored and I'm going to talk your ear off about how I think the nurse is the bad guy. And she doesn't care whether Edgar cares about what she's saying. She doesn't care about pleasing everybody. She exists in the world as she understands what this world is. Like there's an intelligence behind her eyes that
Yes.
she really
He's
gets
so
this world.
intelligent.
She's so
Mm-hmm.
intelligent. And in the last episode, we were talking about that question that I posed at the end where it's almost like Emily Bronte is asking you, okay, what are you going to choose? Life is going to give you a bunch of messed up crap. How are you going to choose to move through life given that? And we talked about how Heathcliff, the choices he made just compounded his bitterness and his hatred. And it's almost like Isabella. I think this is where Fennel, and here's the thing is, I'm not sure if Fennel meant to do this. I hope she did, but I think we'll get into this when we get into the bad. But I'm not always sure if Fennel was just accidentally, like she was throwing paint at a wall and some stuff stuck. Isabella's
Mm-hmm.
strength is what I really like because she knows what the world is and she's not afraid to say, you know what, I don't care. I'm going to be me regardless. And of course, she has the privilege to do it because she's adopted. Here, she's his ward, not his sister, but she's adopted
Right.
into this privilege. That's an interesting choice, too, that she was adopted into this instead of born into it. It gives her a different edge. It's almost like she's the
Mm-hmm.
opposite of Heathcliff because she is also adopted. And she's also not being, she's also
Which,
not.
go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say she's also not being what's the word I was looking for? It's not like she's being abused. She's just being neglected. She has a ribbon room because she's friggin' bored out of her mind. And yet instead of getting angry and whiny about being ignored and nobody knowing who she is, she's like, you know what? I'm enough company for myself and I'm gonna show love
Mm-hmm.
to everybody around me. And then plot twist when she gets with Heathcliff and he starts abusing her. This is what I thought I was going to hate, right? Because I saw a clip on it on Instagram and I was like, how dare you do that to Isabella? How dare you turn her into a sniveling little, like, loves her abuse? I thought I was going to hate that. And instead, I was like, oh my God, look at her strength. Where she's just like, oh no, I like this. Nellie, nobody asked you to rescue me. I'm a BDSM bottom. I am a sub. I like it. Okay. I was so
It was
bored and now I'm
okay.
having so much fun. And it was
I
campy, but here's the thing. But one last thing, which she goes when he's like, Heathcliff is making fun of her. And then she turns to him and she's like, oh, why don't you write the letter? Oh, that's right. You
you
can.
can't.
I love
I love
her.
that. Yeah, I love the whole thing. So here's my question though, because I wasn't sure how to interpret when she is like dog colored. And by the way, I don't know who this actress is. I'm gonna
No, I'm gonna have to look into
watch.
her.
I'm gonna look into her and I want to watch whatever she's in because she really physically changed, right? Like he was this, you know, geeky girl, kind of like how you would expect. And then she becomes this like sinuous,
Oh my god.
animalistic, and I loved that. But
Oh my god,
why
Michelle, as
did
you were
she
talking,
wink? What?
I just realized, sorry, you were cutting in and out, so I didn't know that you were still talking. But oh my god, I just realized this. I remember when I think this was episode 2 or something, and I kept on bringing up Cruel Intentions. It's like Fennell
Yeah.
decided to marry Wuthering Heights with Cruel Intentions, and she turned Isabella into Salma Blair.
Yeah. You know what? That movie, maybe that should, I feel, when you talk
Ooh,
about
yeah.
this, that is akin. That's a great, I'm gonna watch that with fresh eyes.
Yeah, me too. Okay, let's watch
Cruel
that too. But yeah,
Intentions.
isn't she
Okay.
such a Selma Blair character in that? Because Selma Blair is like
Yes.
such a sniveling little, I'll do anything you say, Sarah Michelle Gellar. And then towards the
Yes.
end, she's like, and nobody's
Exactly. But
better.
why did she wink at the end? I didn't know how to take that because she winks at Nellie. Heathcliff can't see it because she's like, yeah, I am home. But she
I think it's,
winks like, to me, it was like, I got this. To me, that's how I interpret it. She's like, don't worry, I've got this kind of
yeah.
wink
Mm-hmm.
versus because she does it when he's not looking. I think
Uh-huh.
she's enjoying it, but I think she's also like play acting in a
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Like she's like, oh, I have you more under my thumb than
Mm-hmm.
I'm under yours.
Oh, she's a sub in two different ways. She's a sub in that she likes to be the submissive, but she's also a sub in that she is incredibly intelligent and she's being very subversive. And so
Hmm.
it's just one of those things where I
Well, subs hold the power in that kind of dynamic, right? Because you
oh, I
can't
wouldn't
be
know. I'm so
dominated
vanilla.
unless you give the permission. So
Oh,
the
that's true. That's true
subs,
because it's all about consensuality. Yes.
yes,
BDSM is
and
the
they have
ultimate trust
to
fall.
acquiesce. Otherwise, the other person cannot um, do what they need to do. So there's this really interesting dynamic where the subs do have all the control.
Mhm. You're
And
absolutely
I
right.
saw that. Oh, I
I did
loved it.
too. She was the most interesting part. Once again, we were like, "Oh man, I wish I could get Isabella's story." And once again, I'm like, "Oh, we wasted so much time on Heathcliff and Catherine. I just wanted more Isabella throughout this whole movie." So
No,
Isabella was
that was so
something.
much more interesting. That's why I thought, okay, we'll get to the bad in a minute, but
But
keep going with what you thought was good.
yeah.
Isabella, check.
So Isabella,
What else?
check. One of my favorites, funny in the book and in the movie. Um, as far as the casting is concerned, I, like you, was surprised that I too liked the majority of the casting. Not all the casting, but I think it was given to actors who really knew what to do with their role. Once again, and this kind of mimics our whole narrator conversation. Once again, I'm like, is this Fennell's magic or is this just actors who understood how to turn this around to, like Isabella, to do something more? So I love the casting. I thought Jacob Elordi as Heathcliff was kind of delicious, and
I
I
liked it more than I thought I would.
I did too, and I kind of hate that I liked it
I
more than
did.
I thought I would, but I
I
did.
did.
I did. It
Yeah,
worked. It worked. He
he
captured it.
did great.
I was wondering if Jacob Elordi was just overhyped. And when I went to go watch Frankenstein, because I've never seen Euphoria, I'm gonna go watch it. I've never seen Saltburn, so I've never seen. Is he in the kissing booth? Never seen that. So the only other
I've
thing that
seen
I've
all of the movies he's been in. Crazy enough, and not because I was following him. It was
just
just
happenstance.
times of my life and what I was interested in at the time. So
Yeah, and so the
I think
first
he's
thing
fantastic.
see, that's the thing is the first thing I saw him in was Frankenstein, and I'm sad to say, and well, if we read Frankenstein, and we'll definitely review Frankenstein from that lens. So I might be, shooting myself in the foot here a little bit, but um, with Frankenstein, I didn't mind his performance. I just couldn't really see it. I think what he did with his body in Frankenstein was very intelligent, but there just wasn't enough for me to be like, wow, that kid is something, you know? And so
Right.
I went into this blind, like, who is Jacob Elordi? Is he worth the hype? And with this, I was like, in his eyes. I was like, "Oh my gosh, you really brought the character to life." So I like the casting more. I think we'll get to this with the bad, but I'm a huge Margot Robbie fan, and I didn't really care for her Catherine, and not just because she's blonde, but for a myriad of other reasons. Um, let's keep on with the good though.
Hmm.
I thought it was beautiful.
Yeah.
I thought that the costuming and just all of that was so well done. I was kind of like, yeah, this is kind of Sofia Coppola, Marie Antoinette. I could kind of see
Yes.
that. Do you remember that? It had that
Absolutely. Yeah. Has
feel.
that influence to it.
Hmm.
I
And yet,
loved that too. It's every shot, every frame is just beautiful.
hmm
Sorry to interrupt.
I,
Keep going.
no, you're not interrupting. That's wonderful. Please do always interrupt to tell me that you agree with me and that I'm right. um,
No
what else?
problem.
What else did you say that you liked? Just because I'm trying to like,
Oh, I said
yeah.
the score and the music I really
Oh
liked.
yeah, and then that's part of that Coppola thing. I thought that was really well done. Um, so yeah, all in all, I surprisingly liked it more than I thought I would. Um, and that's saying something. Well, like we said before, it might be because my expectations were so low, but I was, I know that you thought it was a little boring. I actually thought that I had fun with it. I was entertained. I had fun. It wasn't one of those, besides, except for Isabella, it did, and even Jacob Elordi in some scenes, it didn't really
Hmm.
stick with me. It wasn't something that I was still thinking about the next day, and in the
No.
sense of being haunted. You know how some movies haunt you and you just,
Yes.
that
They
happened to me with the light.
linger.
Yes, that happened to me with The Lighthouse where, Robert
Oh,
Pattinson and
yes.
William Dafoe. When I first watched that movie with Adam, I was like, "What are we watching?" And I just sat there in horror.
Right.
And I was like, "Look, everything is beautiful, but everything is disturbing me, and I don't know what I'm watching, and I feel like I'm going insane." And then when it was over, I was like, "I'm never watching that movie again." But then it just stuck with me for
Yeah.
days and then
You know
weeks,
what?
and I was just like, that might be one of the best movies I've seen in terms of, like, unconventional horror."
Yes. And you know what? Like kind of moving into the bad a little bit.
Yes, I
Because
think it's time.
this makes that connection. I've seen Fennell's other movies too, A Promising Young Woman
Is
and
it Fennell
Saltburn.
or Fennel? Because 'Cause I've been calling her Fennel. Is it Fennel?
Been saying Fennell. Um,
Eh,
I thought it was
someone will correct.
Fennell, but it's
I
okay.
really don't know,
Someone will
but
let
keep
us
going.
know the
So sorry.
correct way.
No, I'm sorry for
Those
interrupting. Go ahead.
movies I thought about afterwards,
Okay.
talked about them. It was like one of those, oh, let's meet at, the water jug at work and chat about the movie and what you thought about it and impressions. This, I could leave it. It wasn't, it, the style is what stuck with me. And I think she has
Mhm.
such a talent for, yeah, styling, for sound. I like that she makes things kind of gross and weird
Mhm.
and that it's not so like it's aesthetically pleasing, but it's like gooey and I love all of that she does. And it's in all of her movies. Like I feel like I can smell this movie, right?
Ooh,
All my senses are engaged,
I see that. I totally do.
but nothing to think about. Like I'm not thinking about Catherine. I'm not wondering about Heathcliff's future, his agony, because
Yeah.
here's what I thought was bad. I didn't care about them. I really
Yeah.
didn't. I liked seeing the actors together. They were beautiful. I think they had good chemistry together, but I didn't
Yes.
care about the characters. There was
I think that's
nothing in it to make me be like, oh, Catherine. Like, and you mentioned Catherine was a letdown for me.
she was.
And I don't know. I don't think Margot Robbie could have done anything different. I think it was just, or maybe she could. I'm not an actress, but to me, it just seemed like she wasn't given enough to chew on.
I agree. I feel like, and I guess, I'm, like, wary not to step on the toes of our final ranking, but with Fennel, you say Fennel and I'll say Fennel because that way one of us is right.
One of us will have
Um,
it.
One of
Watch would
us
be
will have it.
something totally different.
I know, right? That'd be hilarious. I think that I completely agree. I think one, Margot Robbie was, I'm sorry, too old for that role. I think she is gorgeous. I think she looks like she's in her 20s. I mean, she looks amazing. She's just too much woman for that role, like in the way that Fennell was having her portrayed. Could Catherine had been Catherine if she was portraying her in a different way? I think Margot Robbie, even though with her blonde hair and everything, could have done it. But I think that because she was trying to play this like little girl spoiled brat, I was like, "You just look stunted. You look like a woman who
It
never
was a
grew
little
up."
difficult to hold that. Like, I agree with what you're saying because she is so wow. Like, you just look at her, you're like, oh,
Mhm.
just exquisitely beautiful. And that's not something we want to say that I think it can be held against you in some roles. And it took me out of the character, is what I'm saying. Because
Yeah.
I was struggling with that too. Like, why are you talking like that?
Oh my gosh, you know what?
You know what
Yes,
I
it
mean?
just
It's
didn't
like,
fit
whoa,
her.
why
Like
are
we were
you
talking about
acting that way?
we were talking about strong women at the beginning of this, Gina Davis, Angela Bassett. Can you imagine those women acting this way? It just doesn't hit. You're just like,
But yeah, I agree. But where it worked well for me with her was when she was going into her self-imposed sickness.
yes,
Then I thought that worked really well for her and how she portrayed it. I wasn't
I
taken out
agree.
of the character then. But up until that time, it
No, I
was tough.
completely agree. And you know what? I was watching Mermaids with my sister last night. And
Oh, I love
I one
mermaids.
of my favorites. Watch it. When was the last time you watched it?
My God, it's been probably like 20 years. It's been a
Watch it
long
again. It
time.
had been a
Maybe not
long
20,
time.
but close to it.
It
College,
had
I
been a
guess. So,
Yeah. It had been a long time for me too. And we watched it last night just on a fluke because it's one of my favorites. And it was one, this has nothing to do with this podcast. You will see it from a different perspective, especially now that you're a mother. It is so friggin' good and you understand
mm,
it. I totally understood it and realized that I didn't understand every faction of that movie when I first watched it. When I first watched
right.
it being in high school. And my sister was like, "Oh my God, Cher would make physically such a good Catherine." And I'm like, "Yes, but I think Winona Ryder would be even better." Like Winona Ryder in that
Oh, yeah. A
movie,
young Winona Ryder.
yes, it's just that that you know
Even
Winona Ryder
Christina
in the
Ricci
Crucible.
could
Yeah,
be
even
that too with
Christina
her
Ricci.
big eyes. Oh,
Yes. And
yeah.
you know how Winona Ryder can play so innocent, think Girl Interrupted, think Mermaids, but then Winona Ryder can be so
The
bitchy, think The
Crucible.
Crucible. Yes. And the same thing with Christina Ricci, right? Christina Ricci can be so innocent and then turn around and watch Wednesday Addams and there's a darkness to her. So like I
Yeah.
think that's kind of you need that duality with Catherine. And I don't know if it's because Fennell didn't direct her well or because Fennell didn't understand the character or Fennell was trying to present a different character. Personally, I think that she was trying to superimpose herself in this story and create this story for her, like playing Barbie dolls. And this is what I want to happen. Um,
That's like what this whole movie was. She was like, this is, oh, I pictured the book when she read it as a teenager, which I appreciate because you kind of camp leans into it.
I just
But
wish she had,
I'm just like, yeah, I think we're like see the same thing in that. And
yeah.
okay, I
Uh huh. I was like,
this is a bad for me,
okay,
but this is also having read the book, right?
right.
So I'll tread lightly on it. I thought that the blending of characters and subtraction of characters actually took away from the story being told. I think
Yeah.
they're like the tension between Bryn going to live with the Lintons and then the proposal. Okay, I didn't see any courting. We didn't get to see Catherine really being in this conundrum of
No,
Lenton versus Heathcliff. And I thought that was such a huge mistake because you really can't get on her side. Like, you
no,
really don't feel the stress and the tension of her time period, right? And her making this intellectual choice for herself. It really seems like
agreed.
she's just, you know,
No, yeah.
very short-sighted,
Hmm.
right? Whereas that's not how I took her character at all. And in
No,
fact, I think, unfortunately, Catherine seems so unintelligent.
she did.
I,
She seemed very,
yes,
like, why? If anything, I was wondering, Heathcliff, why do you love Catherine instead of Catherine? Why don't you love
I
Heathcliff?
was too, because I didn't get, and that's where I said, like, I really found the story kind of boring because I didn't really feel anything from her. Like, what does he like?
Hmm.
Honestly, I was like, because it's the only person of the opposite sex that's your age.
Yeah,
That's it. That's the only, it's like you hit puberty at the same time, and that's the only reason. And there's no one
and
else.
yeah,
So it's
and
like,
he seems
okay,
so much smarter than her. Like, I kept on, I almost
his
thought that
emotional intelligence is here. And she's like you said, stunted. It doesn't make sense to
yeah.
me.
No, it doesn't. And like, here we can, here I'll talk about the bad independent of the book. Even if I didn't know who these characters were, let's say I'd never read Wuthering Heights, I think absolutely your critique stands because there were some characters that I really liked. Heathcliff, like we talked about, we love Jacob Elordi, but that's because the reason I liked it is because I felt like I could meet this character on the streets, not know who he was, but he felt like a fully fledged human. I
Hmm.
understood. He was able to sell to me his hurt. He was able to sell to me his background without telling me. It was all show. It was not
Hmm.
tell with Heathcliff. Same thing with Isabella. I felt like even though Isabella was very little in this movie, what she did with those moments was she gave a lot of show behind and very
Hmm.
little tell, and that made like her feel very human. And I felt like I understood those two characters. We didn't talk about Nellie under the things that we thought were good. And I thought I was going to hate Nellie because she made her kind of a villain. Not even kind of. She made her a villain in this version, and then she made her Asian. I'm like, why are all the people of color people you don't like this? Like, but I like her. I liked Nellie because I understood her. I understood her motivations. I think that's what it is. Is
Yes,
with all the characters I liked, I understood what they wanted. I understood what they liked. I understood what motivated their actions.
agreed.
And whether I liked what motivated their actions or not, I still understood it. So it made me feel connected to that character. Like, oh, you are a well-rounded character. But when it came
Hmm.
to Edgar, when it came to Catherine, I had no idea what motivated Catherine. Like, honestly, what motivated her.
Yeah. How did Edgar fall in love with her? How is she open outside of the money that we hear her talking about earlier on? It just doesn't. And I will say the Edgar character did feel like oh, he cares, right?
Yes.
I felt that. There was a real tenderness there. I
I
never
just didn't know
felt
why.
that from Catherine to him.
Yes.
That's okay. Like, that's fine if that was the read, but it just made it seem like, well, then how is he? Yeah, the motivation is like, is he enjoying his time with her because she's witty, because she's whatever? Does he just think she's beautiful and wants to possess her? Does he think she's helpless? Like, I don't know. Is he just a caretaker? That's why he has this ward and, he's a collector of, I don't know.
Yeah.
But that
And
was a problem.
a huge problem. And it was weird. I kept on, it ran hot and cold. There were times I was like, oh, I'm really enjoying this movie. And there were times where I was like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to be enjoying about this movie. And so it just felt like it had a lack of continuity. It felt like it had a
Hmm.
lack of motivation, a lack of thesis, if you will. Like, what was the thesis of the movie? What were we supposed to yeah, extract from this movie, not even as a lesson or a message. I don't think all movies, I mean, The Lighthouse doesn't have a lesson or a message, but there is a theme of like, of this is what isolation does. This is
Right.
what it
Or
can
there's
do
something that's
to.
carried throughout. I I think it was just about like longing. I don't know. I think in the beginning what you said really stuck with me about when you don't know what could have been. I think this adaptation kind of misses that point because when you read the book, the will they or won't they is such a big deal. And with the movie, it wasn't a will they or won't they. It was they did. So where do you go from here?
Yeah.
You know, her her dying. I mean, it was just okay. I don't, and that's part of the bad. Like that's supposed to feel like this really climactic, really cathartic moment of like, wow, everything they've been through. But I just
What
really
were
felt
they
nothing
through? A
there.
real housewife affair? Like, it was like this whole misunderstanding that hinged on Nellie. Again, just
For
like Isabel,
years.
yeah, for years, just like Isabella said, um, you know, Juliet, the nurse, was the real problem in Romeo and Juliet. And I was like, Fennel, please never do an adaptation again because you obviously don't understand literature. The fact that you position the nurse in Romeo and Juliet, that's your argument, that she is the one that is the real catalyst for the downfall of Romeo and Juliet. She has no power. She's a maid. She has to do whatever Juliet tells her to do. And that's who you're blaming, not the friar who
Right.
has power in society, the friar who can actually, go tell the parents, hey, your kids are doing something really dumb, who can go to the like who can the nurse turn to?
Right.
And then I think that's what she misunderstands about Nellie, but I'm getting into that. And the thing about Nellie too is I really enjoyed Nellie as an actor, but even without reading the book, I would have been like, wait, so this whole thing hinges on the fact that Nellie is, you know, only half noble. And so she has delusions of grandeur. So she is manipulating Kathy to become rich so that she can be rich.
Well, yes. And you know what? The craziest thing to me, the craziest thing is that Nellie is supposed to have some kind of magical power to, to know what Catherine is going to say in that moment, that those words of "it would degrade
Yeah,
me to marry Heathcliff" would come out of her mouth at the exact moment that he reaches the door. Like,
it's lazy. It
like,
was lazy. Fennel's, it
no,
was
like,
lazy.
really?
She was playing
Really?
Barbie dolls. I felt like I always call it when the movie, it doesn't quite make sense. Like, it's logical. I can understand the story you're telling, but there's
Hmm.
a lot of these like plot holes or that doesn't make sense for the character or why would the character do that? And, when directors or authors don't fill in when they're just telling you and not showing you, and when they're just moving things along, the plot, they want this to happen. And so they're making the characters acquiesce to the plot. And so
Hmm.
then there's like that uncanny valley of, okay, it makes sense, but it doesn't quite make sense. I call that playing Barbie dolls. I call it like,
Speaking
you're just
of,
making, yeah.
sorry, speaking of opening scene, I got excited about this movie from that opening scene because I was like, oh,
Yes, me too.
this is, I don't know where we're going. And it meant nothing.
Yes.
I guess
Remind
the
me of the
only thing it
opening
meant,
scene because I saw it a few months ago, but I mean, a few weeks ago, but I do remember, or was it a week ago? I'm losing all track of time. The point is, I don't remember the opening scene, but I do remember, and I think this speaks to your point that I don't remember the opening scene because they never revisited again. But I remember when that opening scene happened, I'm like, actually, this could be good. What was the opening scene
yes.
again?
And I was like, oh, and she's cheering. Like, I was like, oh,
Oh yeah, the
this is,
hanging.
yes, at the
It starts with a
hanging,
hanging.
which is crazy because that was a little close to home with lynching and everything like I was like, "Oh no. Oh no." And then everyone's like having an orgy like the movie Perfume. Do you remember that movie
I
Perfume?
never
Have
saw
you
it. I
seen that?
never saw it. No.
Oh
I
my
know, I
God.
need to watch it.
You
I know I need to
gotta
watch it.
watch that movie.
I've always
Watch
been
that
told.
tonight.
Okay,
Watch that
I'm
movie tonight. You'll
I'm
you'll
at my
see what I'm talking about.
I'm at
But
my
it's like,
parents' house. I don't know if I could watch that movie tonight.
yeah, you
I'm in
can.
a Okay, it's not too bad because there's only one TV and it's in the
No,
main
just at the
room.
end, be like, you should go, make me a cafe for 10
Okay,
minutes.
I'll make sure to watch it at a time where I know they're going to fall asleep for the last 30 minutes of the movie.
Yes, that would be perfect. Or just pause
Okay.
it and then let them go. But
Okay.
yeah, I was like, okay. And then I was like, how is this going to come back? I was really interested. And then when Isabella brings it up at the table and was like, there's a hanging today, and I thought you'd be interested in who it was. I was like, oh, who's it going to be? And she's like, a woman. And I was like, what woman? Like,
Meant
it went
nothing.
nowhere. And the
Well,
fact that I think Catherine was like, oh, I need to be excused was supposed to show her change. But that wasn't, she was just thinking about Heathcliff. Like it didn't show a change in her spirit at all to me. And I was like, wow, what a letdown. I thought we were an adaptation that's actually giving a different interpretation of what's going on. Like the
yes.
Joseph character. Why?
Why? Why?
What, like, what did that do besides be like, now you're horny?
Look,
Now you
I
guys are horny. Like,
I
did he have to
completely
have
agree.
this, like, again, that kind of play? It would have made more sense to me if Isabella had seen that and was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like,
I think you're touching
that
on
was
something
disappointing.
before we get into the final rating. I think that and by the final rating I mean like is it a lovely or is it an ugly, which I think the audience can they're not dumb. They already can figure out where we're going with this. But I think you're absolutely right. I think that's my biggest critique whether I had read the book or not. In watching this movie, my biggest critique is that I just don't think Fennell knew what she was doing. I feel like she was telling this story for her and for her alone, which great. Um,
Totally fine.
but which totally fine. But she didn't stop. It was lazy. It was lazily put together. You didn't ask any of those questions to yourself. It was all shock value without any purpose behind it. And I kind of hate when people do that. I hate to be shocked and for there to be no purpose. It's like, it's a cheap reaction for me. And then
Hmm.
what happens is that my mind starts filling in the gaps of what I'm hoping. Because as soon as I see something like that, I'm like, ooh, this is so much good symbolism and this is such good um, perspective. What are you going to do with it? And if you do nothing and my brain has gone 1,000 steps ahead of what you've done in your movie, then I'm like, well, that's disappointing because you should never
Yeah.
let me take over your narrative. I should never be in control of your narrative. You should
Right.
always be in control of that narrative. And so when she presents Nellie, and here I'm going to talk about the race thing, and not even from an adaptation point of view, just without ever having read the book. Let's pretend that I didn't know that Heathcliff was supposed to be a person of color. Let's pretend I didn't know, like, I think Catherine is blonde and everything is exactly the same. If I watched that movie, I would be like, why did you make your only two people of color in this movie kind of be um, antagonists to the love story? It feels a little pointed. I was like, show me on the doll where an Asian woman hurt you while you were in film school. Was she better than you? Like, why is she
Mm.
such a bad guy? And it's not that there needs to be a reason. It's just that if you're gonna if you're going to position it like that and you let me, like I said already, take the reins of what the symbolism means, and then you have no rhyme or reason behind it, it leaves me feeling untethered and in the dark
Hmm.
about what this movie is
Yeah.
supposed to be. And then on top of that, we talked about the aesthetics, and I love the aesthetics of the movie. However, and this is when they start to compound, these things start to
Hmm.
really add up. There was so You can't tell me that movie, even with like the poster, that movie was like an homage to Gone with the Wind. And it's just like, okay,
Yes.
that coupled with this, coupled with that is what are you saying here, Fennel? And if you don't fill in the gap of what are you saying with nothing, and I'm left to figure it out on my own, I'm like, I am
And the
now
lynching.
and a lynching. I'm like, what? And then that's when I start looking into a director, right? I'm like, what is going on here? And then I find out you are a blonde, white, upper class, privileged English woman. And I'm not saying you're not talented. I'm just now starting to wonder if you're the most talented. And why, who could have done this better, and what seat did you take at the table that you are allowed as a female director to just make your own fan fiction? And if you want to do your fan fiction, that's great. Well, make it good. She didn't make fan fiction of this that was worthy of Emily Bronte's novel, and we'll get into our third rating now. She didn't make a movie that was worthy of Emily Bronte's title. She made 50 Shades of Grey after reading Twilight. And if you want to do that with a book like Twilight, have at, man. Do whatever you want. Twilight is a ridiculous book. Make it ridiculous yourself. We can enjoy. I watch Twilight because I think it's just the stupidest movie and I love laughing and it's a fun, and I don't watch it on my own. I like finding people who've never seen
Like I
it.
have to say, I don't watch it by myself.
No, I like watching,
That's
I like
funny.
finding people, I like finding people who have never seen it and then
Oh,
subjecting them to this
gosh.
horror. It is like,
Yeah,
this is my kink. Like, I'm like, hey, have you seen Twilight? No. Oh, it's so bad. Let's watch it. And so,
that's
Fennel,
funny.
if you want to do that with a lesser book, fine. But how very dare you? How very dare you with Wuthering Heights? Because only because it's a book that says so much and has so much social commentary and is
And
so
the
subversive,
psychology
and
behind
the
it, I think,
psychology, and it's so modern.
yeah, I
And
think
then you
they're
turned it into 50
so,
Shades of Grey. You turn a book
yeah.
like Wuthering Heights, and you know what? Sorry. Well, let's get into.
No, keep
So,
going, keep going.
I was gonna say, I forgot what I was gonna say.
No.
It's okay.
Well, I agree with you. I agree with you. It was like one of these lawyers that I watch on YouTube who comments when you're watching like the court cases and trials and things.
Ooh,
He
send
was
that to
like,
me. That
so,
sounds fun.
oh, I will. I will.
Okay.
Emily D. Baker. She's
Oh, and
fabulous.
she's a woman? Even better.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah. Oh,
Love
yeah.
my
And
girl
worked
baddies.
in LA as a lawyer. And she's great. I'll send it to you. But so she made this comment the other day and was like, so instead of the lawyer citing like case law to support his point, he was like, no, judge, just vibes. Let's just go on vibes. But that's kind of how I feel like this was. And that's, again, like you mentioned, that's pain, but like
Oh,
to such a treasure of a novel, to such a
mhm.
to a novel that's canonized, right? That literally you can look through so many different lenses. People's dissertations are on this novel. It just feels like instead of like rich chocolate milk, we're drinking Yoo-hoo.
Yeah, that's such a
And
great
if
way to
you
put
want
it.
the Yoo-hoo, that's fine. I just think,
Don't call it rich chocolate milk. And I think that reminds me of what I was gonna say. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, I would have been fine with this movie. Jafrida gave me this idea because I was like, at the end of the movie, she was like, what did you think? And I was like, I liked it more than I thought I was gonna like it. I just wish she had
same.
called it anything else. And you know what? We could have, I just my sister was saying, "Oh, maybe if she had just said an adaptation or inspired by." I'm like, "No, I don't even want Wuthering Heights in the title. Like it just don't call it Wuthering Heights." And then Jafrida gave me this great idea. She said, "Well, what if she took just a phrase from the novel and made that the title, like Twin Souls or My Soul is Yours?" And then in subtitles
My
was
eggs are cracking. Yoke me up.
Jesus Christ.
My yoke is heavy. Let me lighten your load.
Gross.
Oh no.
But yes, something like, well, maybe not like that, but like a quote from the novel.
Yeah.
Maybe a quote from
Because
the
it could be an
novel that was like,
amalgamation of a lot of different stories that kind
yes,
of fit a similar trope. I mean, there's a lot of these stories that,
yeah. And then
have similar arcs.
Instead of Heathcliff, You could have called him Harry or something. Instead of Catherine, she could have been Cynthia. Instead of Isabella, she could have just been Bella. And then, you know, have you ever seen the movie Warm Bodies?
Yeah.
I remember at the end when he was like, I don't remember my name. She's like, well, what about R? And then I was like, R, Jules. Oh my God, it's a Romeo and Juliet story, but they did not market it as a Romeo and Juliet
Yes.
story.
No,
They never,
that I was like,
yes.
and then I started
Imagine,
making all the connections after.
imagine
Yeah.
if Fennell had done that. If this movie would have been, I would have still had all the critiques we had in the bad, right? I would have been like, oh, but you know, you should have, but then it would have like, it would have taken
There was a
away.
payoff at the end.
Yes, and it would have taken away the gravitas that the Wuthering Heights title gives it. I think we would have seen it as
The
more campy.
expectations too. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that it would have been more like Warm Bodies, where the campiness and the stuff that doesn't make sense, we wouldn't have cared about because we weren't going in with the idea that this is an adaptation of a, like you said, a very canonical, important novel. And the fact that this is a novel, I might have even forgiven it if it had been a novel written by a 19th century man. But it just felt like and I, drum roll, nobody is expecting us to say that this is a lovely. This is a total ugly for me because if it had been a man who she adapted and did this with, I'd have been like, oh well. But it's a woman in the 19th century who had to take a man's name just to have a voice. And then she was very careful about the story and the message that she was trying to get out there. And if you are going
Hmm.
to elevate a woman's voice to the biggest scene, especially in a time when people aren't reading anymore, I mean, it's the devastation of that medium feels like it's being lost and we're fighting against it being lost because it's such an important medium. I mean, there's a reason why we chose this as our podcast medium because we really want to inspire, like, hey, reading is important and it's fun and there's so much depth to it. And I want people to like really find it again. And I'm really glad to see an upwards trend of this. And if you're going
Hmm.
to contribute to the upwards trend, you have a real responsibility to do something. If you're going to make it completely different, it has to be so well presented so that it's thought provoking, so that it can be analyzed from a different lens. And also, don't silence the woman who made this novel in the first place. I think if you're going to take someone else's work, you either change it, the title, change everything so that you're like, this is an homage, but I'm not trying to do that,
Hmm.
or you try to tell it in an updated way, but you allow for your or to be, my teacher used to always say, like, you're going to put your or into the essay. What are you going
Yes.
to, you remember, what are you going to say?
Yes.
You're joining this discussion that is 200 years old. What is your contribution? And it just felt like her contribution was, I'm like a blonde Catherine and I want a lot of sexy BDSM and I want to have a lot of good sex. And I'm like, okay, that's nice. Go take your crayons and do that over there. We're having a real conversation over here. And if you're going to
Hmm.
make a crayon adaptation, call it a crayon adaptation. Don't, I'm just, I have no right to be, but I'm so mad on behalf of Emily Bronte. For all I know, Emily Bronte would be like, I thought it was great. If she came back with me, she's like, I thought it was great.
Yeah. You know what? I understood when I finished it, had some questions about like what happened to Isabella.
Oh my God.
Where's the baby?
Did
I,
Heathcliff
I,
die?
I thought the
Wait,
beginning, seeing that hanging, that was Heathcliff and that we were going to see how he ended up there.
Michelle, that would have
I,
been wonderful. And if it would have cut from Isabella being like, do you know who it was? And then it just cuts and it doesn't tell us who it was. And then we get to the ending and it's
I mean,
Heathcliff and she's
yeah,
free and now Isabella has all his money.
I was like, it was a bummer, right? It was a bummer. So yeah, I'm with you. I would say it was an ugly. And, I'm not going to compare and I'm not going to name any books or movies at this point, but there have been adaptations of books that did not follow things by the letter, but the messaging, the insight, the presentation, as you said, felt like, oh, you get it. right? And oh,
Mhm.
I'm seeing something new that I hadn't
Mhm.
discovered before, or a perspective that I didn't pay attention to, right? I
Mhm.
love that. And it's okay to have an adaptation that doesn't follow every single plot point, that doesn't have all the character. You
Yeah.
can't. It's a movie, it's a different medium. You don't have, you know,
Chocolat, Breakfast at Tiffany's, like the ones we just mentioned, they're vastly different. They have completely different endings, and even the characters are
yes,
kind of different characters, you know,
right.
but there's an essence that it captures, and it takes the primary source. It's like it takes the primary source seriously. Oh, was that a fly? It looked like a hummingbird.
Yeah, it's a huge fly. Now
Oh
it's on
my
my
god.
head. Oh my
Oh,
God.
um, but yeah, they take the book, the source material, and they're like, we're not going to do that. It's not the story I want to tell, but the essence is there. The respect for the source of
Right.
material is there. And I just wish, like, I know that Fennell prided herself on not reading it again, but I wish she would have. I wish she would have, you know, wrote her script the exact same way, keep it the same. And then I wish she would have just gone back and reread it just to fill in those gaps, just to be like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I see what she was arguing. How do I either change that argument, obliterate that argument, and create a new one? But it needed
Mm-hmm.
something that
Mm-hmm.
just, if you're going to use the title Wuthering Heights, it needed something that was going to be right there next to it, or supersede it, or just dance around it. Hers was
Mm-hmm.
so dismally below. I would have liked it if she'd called it anything else. And then, like we
Yeah.
said with Warm Bodies, just let me arrive at like, oh my gosh, this is Wuthering Heights, and
Yes.
that would have been fun.
Would have been really fun.
It's the
I
same
think,
way I felt about Clueless as an adaptation of Emma. It's the same way when I found out that Clueless was Emma. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so much fun, and look how
yes.
campy and ridiculous it is. But
Or
that's
10
the point.
Things I Hate About You,
10
Taming of
things
the
I
Shrew, right?
Yes,
So
those kind of
it exists. I think, but you know what I will say? I am going to give Fennell her flowers because had she not made this movie, we wouldn't have reread this book. We wouldn't have done our little book club. We wouldn't have started this podcast.
true.
So I do think her, even though I like your calling it fan fiction, even though her fan fiction rendition of Wuthering Heights doesn't live
Left
up to expectations,
left a lot to be
she
desired, yeah.
did yeah, left a lot to be desired. She did contribute to people getting back to reading this book that I don't think is really on any lists currently. Like when I think about high school and maybe college, it's on the list of like, here's a list of canonical titles that you should read, right? Because if you have them in your arsenal, you're better for it. You will have, more to contribute, your body of knowledge when you're testing, right? You'll have these works in your pocket. But you did get people reading it again and talking about it. So I
Yeah,
am grateful in that respect. So
yeah,
how many,
yeah, I
I'm
agree
going
with
to say
you.
daggers.
Okay,
I'm going to say
yeah.
daggers out of 5. What are you giving? How many stabs are you going to give it?
Ooh, I like that. That might have to be our thing. Um, out of 5. I always used to do things out of 10 because the math was easier, but let's keep it out of 5 because that's just easier. I think that I might give this somewhere between a 2.5 and 3 stats. I think the aesthetics of it were pretty good. I don't want to go all the way to 2 because it just feels like it's entertaining. I think people are going to like it. I think people are going to enjoy watching the movie. But
2.75 for me.
perfect. Let's arrive at 2.75 stabs. Take a stab at it,
Yeah,
but you might bleed
like
a little and you
take a
might not
stab
enjoy
at
it.
it. I think you're going to love looking at it, right? I don't
Yes.
think anybody can look at this movie and say that she's not an artist and she doesn't know what she's doing when it comes to styling, to the
No.
score. And, I really enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed, it makes me sad to give it a 2.75 because I think a lot of
Hmm.
the actors did great work with the roles they were
Yeah.
in. And I thought they
That's why
were
I was, yeah.
so good. Um, So that
Yeah,
doesn't
that's why I
take
was
away
leaning
from
towards
them.
3.
You
No,
know,
no,
I
it
was
doesn't.
thinking 3.
But
We'll
it's just
see.
too good.
I guess it
It's
depends on
too
the
good of a
day.
mark. It's too good of a mark, but like the actors do. So yeah, 2.75. I'm
And
comfortable with that. I think we would
honestly, yes. And I think with the Catherine of it all, that really, like, she's such a central character, and to have her not feel lived in. And again, I don't blame Robbie for that. I don't know how you
no.
would get around it. And I actually don't know if another person in that role would have, I think it was really the script for me,
It
that didn't
You're
work
right.
for her
And I
and
agree with you,
Edgar.
and it's yes, and I agree with you because I really believe that the reason she cast a blonde as Catherine is because Fennell wanted to see herself as Catherine. And I was like,
Oh, for sure.
yeah,
Making out
and
with
I'm
Jacob
like, and
Elordi, because she wrote the script with him in mind, right? That's
right.
what I've heard on Think NPR.
And I'm like, well, now I just think, are you that boring, Fennel? Because you wrote yourself as a very boring person. Look, I don't hate Fennel. It's just one of those things where I'm just like, I hate Catherine in your movie. And it's supposed to be a stand-in for you. Were you just so tunnel visioned where you were looking at all the characters? And because you cared so much about Heathcliff, you fleshed it out. And because, Isabella is
Hmm.
connected to Heathcliff, and then, you fleshed her out, and then Nellie is your antagonist. So you fleshed her out, but you forgot to flesh yourself out, dummy. Like you kind of this isn't coming just from your lens. We're watching Catherine too, and I wonder if a different Catherine would have changed my attitude and perspective, but not too much. I mean, maybe it would have pushed it to the 3 realm, but it would have never gone above a 3 because there's just too many different problems. I think the
Mm,
2.75 is sorry, Margot. I love Margot Robbie. I really do. She is the best Harley
I
Quinn I've
know.
ever
I think she's
seen.
great.
But, yeah, I know that Margot Robbie can do this because I've seen her in, you know,
She has
the
good
Wolves.
range.
She has great
Hmm.
range. Like when you watch her in, what is it, Wolves of Wall Street? And then jump
Yes.
from that to Harley Quinn. And then Harley Quinn was the other big thing she did. Um, oh, I don't know. I was thinking of that movie, Ready or
Wasn't
Not.
she
I'm
the
like, wait, that's
skater,
another film.
in the
Yes.
skating movie?
I don't know.
Was
I
to
always
say
confuse her
Patty
with the
LaPone. That is not it. That
no,
is
that's a
definitely not. Why did that? But you know what? The
now I'm
skating movie,
imagining Patty
the
Lamo
figure
now I'm a
skaters.
oh yes, I Tanya.
Hi,
Now
Tanya.
imagine
Thank you. I was like, what is
yes, she has wonderful
Tanya,
range.
Patty? I don't know. Yeah,
I think
I,
you're
Tanya was
absolutely
good.
right. I think you're absolutely right. I think that if she had had a better script and if she had had better maybe directing, I don't know. This is one of those things where it's like I was telling my sister usually when I watch a movie that I'm not crazy about, I can tell you what specifically it was that I don't like and what if they had just fixed it, it would have been fine. There was just so much. It's like, okay, your husband's a chef. So I'll go with this. It's like when you get a dish and you're like, it's good, but there's just so much going on in it from presentation to taste to spices
Hmm.
to proteins that while I don't mind eating it and I'm even enjoying eating it at times, my palate is overwhelmed. There's no structure.
Hmm.
And I can't even tell you what you could take away from this dish to improve
Hmm.
it. I think you're just going to have to rethink the whole thing and start over. And
Yeah.
maybe keep the elements that I think worked really, really well. But as a whole, I don't think this dish works. I think you should take it off the menu. So
Well,
that's
I had a great time talking to you about this, and it was really
I did.
fun. Like, and there was a lot of anticipation, but it was really fun, like not knowing and kind of
Hmm.
wondering. So I'm excited to do this again. Thank
Me
you.
too. Thank you. That was a lot of fun. All right, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed that episode as much as we enjoyed talking about it, especially after spending so much time reading this novel because I mean, as sad as it is to finish the story, there's also a catharsis in it, right, Michelle? Where it's just like, all right,
Yes.
on to the next. So we will be letting you know what we're reading next. But before we start reading something, we'll let you know this week because so that you guys can start preparing, getting the book. Remember, Libby is your friend. Audiobooks are your
Yes.
friend.
Get
Um,
the Libby app.
Yes.
Go to your
And
public
don't,
library.
yes. Or don't use Amazon, but go to a bookstore, go to a local bookstore and pick it up, buy a
Yes,
used book. And remember, audiobooks are your friends. Don't let anybody tell you that audiobooks don't work. Um,
correct.
because they're wonderful. So we will let you know this week what we're doing next so you guys can start preparing for that and so that we can start preparing for that. But we're going to have one more movie episode. I love movie episodes where we'll be talking about what we think is the better adaptation, even though it had nothing to do with Wuthering Heights. So the name of the game, and comment below if you have any movies that you're thinking of. The name of the game, Michelle, is pick a movie that is a better novel adaptation of Wuthering Heights that has nothing to do with Wuthering Heights, and tune in to find out what our picks are. I already have mine picked out.
And I'm debating between two, so
We'll
I'll
let you know next
share
week what
once
they're going
we.
to be.
Yes, sounds
Uh,
good. Thanks, guys. And remember, the best
bye.
annotations happen after dark.
Enjoy your fear. Bye, guys.